What's going on, YouTube? Team-Ed with TCG here, and today I'm going to be trying to provoke a discussion about the possibility of having Trap Pendulum monsters added to the game. So when Pendulum monsters first came out, people were all like, oh, it's half effect monster, half magic art. Okay, that's what it is. But I wonder if it could be a different kind, half effect monster, half trap. And then when they came out with the half normal monster Pendulum monsters, it kind of provoked some thought that there could be other types of Pendulum monsters in existence. So yeah, they could make ritual Pendulum monsters. If you think about it, that could exist. But today we're going to talk about Trap Pendulum monsters and why I think that this kind of card should be added to the game. Or why it might happen, what signs we have that show it might happen. So, in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V anime, I guess the first episode, I haven't actually watched it, but we know that the character, Yuya, I believe, he wears a blue gem around his neck, kind of like Yugi in the Millennium Puzzle, or Yuma in the Emperor's Key. So, it's a blue gem. And we see that when he first makes his first Pendulum summon, this blue gem glows blue. And then he's in the middle of a duel, so the cards in his hand start going blue. And then they turn into Pendulum monsters, half monster, half not really blue, but spell card color. So, if you look at a Pendulum monster, you see that the two scales have a blue gem and a red gem next to them. So, you know where I'm going with this. I imagine in the future episodes of the show, there will be a character with a red gem around his or her neck. So, yeah. So I imagine there'd be a similar scene in this anime where that character is in a duel, and his or her red gem will start glowing red, and then that gem will make the cards glow red, and then the cards in his or her hand will turn into that, not red color, but sort of red trap color, and she'll get Trap Pendulum monsters. So that is a sign that I believe should be taken into consideration, that it could be added to the game. And because honestly, if they aren't going to make multiple types of Pendulum monsters, why didn't they just choose one single background anyway, you know? Okay, so I want to talk about the mechanics of the game if there would be, Pendulum trap monsters. So you wouldn't just be able to play it face up in the Pendulum zone, since it's a trap card. You'd have to play it face down first, and on the next turn you'd have to flip it face up to activate it. So, what does that do for us? Well, for one thing, if it has a really broken continuous pendulum effect, then it takes a whole extra turn for that effect to come into play. Or if, pendulum summoning could potentially be broken, so in situations like that where a card is broken, it just takes an extra turn to get the pendulum summon off, which could be pretty healthy. So I'd say that is a very healthy thing that they could add to the game in, in the future once pendulum summoning becomes a lot more prominent and or broken. So now I want to talk about how that could add to the game skill-wise. Because right now we have, let's see, we got, well, not right now. Back in the day, let's say GOAT format, making reads was critical to the game, and it was something that if you were a skill player and you were able to make good reads, then that's what made you win. However, although making reads still is something that good players do, it isn't as prominent now as it was back then. Whatever. However, if there were Pendulum monsters that were half trap card, it can make making reads a lot more prominent part of the game. As long as Konami or whoever is very as long as they release these Trap Pendulum monsters sparingly, or at least the good ones. So let's say there is a Trap Pendulum monster in the future. Let's call this monster Mirror Schwartz. And Mirror Schwartz has the same effect as Mirror Force, and let's say it's the best Trap Pendulum monster, or the best pendulum effect of a Trap Pendulum monster in the game. If someone sets a card in their pendulum zone, one can assume, oh, that's probably Mirror Schwartz, I'm going to play around that. Or maybe there are two really good Trap Pendulum cards in the game. Let's say it's Mirror Schwartz and Pendulum Judgment. Those are two cards that people would need to think about and play around when a monster is set face down in the pendulum zone. Or, I'm sure they'll also release a bunch of really bad Trap Pendulum monsters as well. So, it would make bluffing more prominent part of the game too, because right now, if you bluff, it's like, bluffing isn't a huge deal, but you could bluff by putting a really garbage, let's say it doesn't even have a pendulum effect, but it is a trap, so you need to put it face down first, and then flip it up next turn. That you could bluff that way, and boom, that would make the game a lot more complex if this mechanic were added. Now, the one issue I would see with this is it could make cheating a lot more prominent. You could just put a regular monster card face down the pendulum zone and trick your opponent into thinking it's Mirror Schwartz easily. But then again, cheating is sometimes part of the game, and if you're going to lose the game and the only way to win is to cheat, then you might as well take that risk by putting that regular card face down to bluff. You might as well, because you're going to lose anyway. I think that could be a really cool concept that could be added to the game, even though it's morally wrong. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about that. Let's take a look at what the Wikia says about pendulum monsters in their Wikia page. Let's check this out. Oh, never mind.